All right, hello and welcome. My name is Michael Kraft. I have Mr. Arturo here too. He's the head director here at Austin Middle School, and we are here to share with you some of the practices and things we've done and changed regarding technology here in band and how we think it can apply to all of your classes. Hopefully, your elective teachers. If not, just let me know in the chat like what subject you teach. If you could please, if you're willing to share, just type in, what kind of department you work in and what level of school, so we can get an idea of who's in our audience. Um, we've had elementary music teachers. We've had a few other people not related to music, and I think that's great. We actually have some ideas that can reflect to that too. Let's see if anyone responds.
Elementary resource.
Elementary resource, cool.
Got a couple tapping in there.
Yep, and what we like, if whether you're an elective teacher or not, we feel like a lot of this can apply, and it definitely can help you find a new venue to try to do the same thing you're already doing, but more effectively. So that's kind of what we're going to talk about now. Let's see what else.
Inclusion resource.
Inclusion. My wife's an inclusion teacher, and you have all sorts of kids with different needs and different accommodations. We actually have that here in band too. So there's a lot of things that maybe could help, especially language skills, and we're going to talk about all that stuff. But appreciate you guys sharing. We're going to go on and talk about ourselves a little bit. Um, we are band directors here at Austin. We started back there in 2012, and I myself started working in Brownsville in 2010, and it's been over a decade. Been a lot of changes. For instance, we used to have to fill out our transportation requests on a typewriter with the carbon copy papers in Brownsville. And now here we are, and this world is completely different. Not only how we fill out forms and email, but how we interact with our students and how they learn as well. So that's why we want to be here to kind of share those things. Mr. Kano has also been teaching here at Austin for a while, sir.
Yes, hello everybody. My name's Arturo Cano, and we've both been here at Austin Middle School since the 2012. I started, actually, my first year was the PSJA Memorial as one of the band directors there. And then I went to Arlington South and also at La Jolla Memorial Middle School. And then this is where I ended up. Loving every moment of it because our district offers so many opportunities that other districts never did when I was there, such as these kind of professional developments and some specific for elective, just for band, and that's great to be able to do this. But yeah, we bring many years of experience here through different sources of music. Like I said, our background is to the band world. I'll pass it over to Mr. Kraft.
Yeah, and of course, like I said before, some of the things we've learned here in band have really feels applicable to other subjects. So when we first started, we began with very few online tools. We hardly used them. A lot of things was printed, a lot of paper, and we've grown with technology here in the last 2 or 3 years. Kind of after COVID, it became part of our everyday world, and so we've kind of found new tools, and we're here to share with you an app we've used and some other things that we use that help with our students. I also want to mention on the top right is our website. You're welcome to scan that. I made that on Google Sites. You can make your own site for your own activities or your own classes where parents can get a hold of documents and alerts and anything you need. So feel free to check it out. There's going to be QR codes all over this presentation that lead to the subject of the slide. So if we're talking about an app, I'll have the QR there for you. And if you need a link, just send it in the chat or email me later, and I can send you whatever you need that we talk about here. We also develop new techniques, of course. We learned in the last millennium how to do band and how to play our instruments, and our teachers taught that way. And now we have to figure out how to teach to this generation of students. So that's really why we're here to share that with you, okay? And number one thing I think that's made any success happen for us or anyone else is you got to continue learning for sure. So you have to always be willing to learn new things. So hopefully at the end of this, you guys can take away something new and maybe share something with us as well, because we're always eager for new tricks and effective methods for our kids. I'm going to talk now about the overview of what we're going to be doing here. Let's see if I can turn this. Okay, great. During this time, we're going to be talking about a website and app, and of course, other resources that we use. But we're going to try to help you to create new venues for instruction, assessment, and student accountability. We're going to help you set schedules for assignments. We're going to show how to integrate the technology into assessments into the gradebook on TAC, and help students achieve their goals, kind of like the website's more of a, and the app is more of like a structured goal set, which really helps the students for scaffolding their growth. We're able to kind of control that better, and it's documented very well with this online resource. It also is going to help provide accommodations for students, things that you might have already been doing or things they might need more of. This kind of opens the door for that. It's also a good chance for us to maintain rigorous content where we pick, what each kid needs. And then, of course, I think what's been the most profound is it provides personalized feedback to the students and rather quickly too. So that's what we hope to share with you, what this is going to do, and hopefully you can find it beneficial in your subject. Speaking of benefits, a benefit for the students, this website we're going to talk about right now, it's free to use and easy to access. Um, if you are going to use it, I recommend you download it very soon because I heard there might be a subscription coming. But if that one becomes too, we move on to the next best one that's free until the next one comes up. But there's a lot of different resources like this. But right for now, it is free to use and easy to access. Students do it on mobile device, and we use it on computers. Um, it's going to help build foundations for independent study. It's going to help the kids set goals for growth and accommodate their learning. And then the kids are going to receive response and feedback very quickly. There's benefits for teachers as well. Number one thing we've noticed, we're lucky here in band. We have a lease for our copy machine. So a part of our budget goes towards our own copy machine, and we're able to print as we need it. I think one time we got up to 16,000 or something like that, because there are about 250 kids in our band program, and everybody needs a paper, or we want to do an assignment or an assessment, whether it's reading sheet music or a theory or literacy page. It becomes a lot when you multiply it by that number. So this online resource has actually helped us a lot with reducing that printing cost, and help us prevent like copying multiple assessments and doing all that. We still print a lot, of course, band, we're an analog world, so we have a lot of paper music. Kids have binders, but it helps with the assessments because it's a lot less to print. The next thing is it'll help you streamline your assignments and grading and do an online resource. You're not, a lot of times we used to record on different things. We have to go back and forth, and this kind of helps. It's also going to set adaptive instruction for a variety of students. So instead of giving one assignment for the whole class, some of our classes are 55. Uh, Everyone we're able to assign individually more specific targeted goals for the kids. And then we're able to give frequent and instant feedback, which is way better than grading in a papered assignment and giving it back the next day or week later. Depends on how long it takes. But yeah, those are the benefits that we've seen. And so that's really towards this online resource. I'm going to go on and turn it over to Mr. Kano a little bit and let him talk about this. I think he discovered it, was it through the summer program, Jump Corps?
Yes, yes, sir.
Awesome, awesome.
So as Mr. Kraft mentioned, we've been at this for quite some time. As we first started assessing these kids, we are a performance-based class. That's our thing. We band, and sitting down and having each kid play, that took a lot of time, as well as it provided a lot of anxiety towards the kids, which didn't, a kid performs bad one time, then they want to quit. So we needed to find better ways to, number one, have a little more privacy for the students while still trying to get them to learn how to perform as a musician. So through all this comes failures. We did there's so many things that we use through Google, the Google Classroom, the Google Drives, and so many other good apps to use. But some of that was just taking too much memory, and then files are getting lost. So this kind of helped just like Mr. Kraft mentioned, streamline everything. Our grade books in one area. The assessments are there. We can always go back. We can always reassign. But we'll go through some of that here in the advantages of Muse Class. And as we talk about this, we've only used this 2 years,
2 3 years, yeah.
We first used this back when I worked with an organization called Genesis Drum and Bugle Corps, and we had members all over Texas, in Oklahoma, and Florida, and Mississippi, just many states. And then we were trying to get these kids to learn their marching music and give them assignments. And then we were using YouTube links. Things just got very complicated. So there was a company which was this Muse class headed by some gentlemen over there in Ohio that they would that's the way they would do all their assignments. So then this went on. It's used in a band, choir, orchestra. They use it for color guard, and then they have other tabs for other, and it could be implemented in basically anything. Let's say we're trying to have a student read a passage, and we just want them to read it, and maybe they don't want to read out loud there in class, and then cool, just record yourself, read this passage, and turn it into, many ways that this can be very specialized for the students. So that's what's helped us out. As Ms. Kraft mentioned, it's a free app for the students, which is great because us as the teachers, we don't have to use the app. We already have tons of apps, tons of things that our phones already have so many more of. So we just want the kids to focus on using the app, and then the adult, the teacher, we will be on the website. Through that website, as I mentioned, that there's a grade book that you can use, that you can transfer over to an Excel file. Getting into it is as easy as everything else, because kids now, especially in the junior high world, they're getting better with QR codes. Just scan and then you're in. You can do it through video and audio submissions, which is great. There's very limited ways that a student can cheat. Let's say with us being, we know these kids, we hear them, day in, day out. So if one kid turns in an assignment and he just sounds completely different, then we know something is up. So they can't cheat. The privacy issues as well. That this can't be shared through social media. These files cannot be downloaded on the teachers and the students. They're fine.
It stays on their login.
Yes, and any of the videos that we do have is because it's the ones that they have used on their own. Sorry, on our computer, because they don't have devices. It's a great practice tool, because as these kids are doing this, we don't give a limit. They could just take as many turns as they need to, and then submit. The app does have, you can set limits. You can set 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, give them 5 tries, and then they have to submit that 5th try. But we don't do it that way. We just let them do it as many times as possible. And then, as Mr. Kraft mentioned, we have a review and feedback. That's as quickly as we can do that as teachers. It's just easier as we sit and wait for kids to get picked up after school, before school, during our conferences. There are plenty of times to do that, and we share over 150 students. And then, think about that. They're all doing an assignment. Sometimes these assignments are in multiple layers there. So it's just easier for us. The other ways, it's just been such a headache. And again, it's just streamlined everything. And then, reassignment and late work, because kids get busy and they're always going to give excuses. And we're always, we still want to teach them that they still got to own up to their responsibilities. So this is something that's really helped out in changing the culture of our program.
Absolutely. And if anyone has any questions before I move on, just to clarify, it is a app that they have to download. They make their own login, and then we share a code, much like Classroom Dojo or Google Classroom. It's used like as a hub, a third-party hub. So it is something they would have to download on a device. And of course, if they don't have their own phone, they would use a school device, one of our devices, or one of their parents. All right, here's how we would set it up. Mr. Cano.
As you see over here to the right hand side, there is the QR code. If you wanted to go check it out, you can sign up for free. And then it's now sponsored by Hal Leonard, which is a publishing company. Which if you do work in choir, or you have any kind of a plays that you run, they can sell anything through that. And I think they are vendors through PSJA. As mentioned, teachers, you only access the website, so you're going to type everything or use the audio files through audio function through that to hear, and the students will use that as an app. Excuse, on their phone. It works both on iPhones and any of the Samsungs or Android apps
and tablets too.
Yes. Create class codes. You can do like that. Earlier, I was trying to set up my phone to that we can get demonstrations for the next one that we're going to host as for PSJA. I created my own login. It's super easy, and I'm the bad one here with technology. Mr. Kraft is the one that streamlines everything, puts everything in Google Drive, and so if I can figure it out, then a kid and anybody who's has difficulty with technology can definitely do that. Customized grouping, as you see down here, if it's able to scroll down, we have a woodwind, we have a brass, and we have a percussion. And each of them, they have the same assignments. As you set the assignments, it fits for all three of them. You add teachers for collaboration. We're lucky enough to get the teachers from PSJA high school, the Bear Band, coming over here and helping us out. So we add them as teachers there, and they listen to them, and that provides that collaboration. We really think about our program not just being a 3-year program there at Austin Middle School, but thinking about it as a 7-year program. We follow them into high school. Mr. Kraft helps out with the marching band. I still give lessons, to students over there at the high school. So, we just don't want to see them successful at the middle school. We want to see them successful all the way through the education at PSJA. And like I said, the PSJA team is a pretty tight one. We collaborate very, very well.
Absolutely. And just to be clear, I know not a lot of y'all mentioned that you were music teachers, and that's fine. There is options to put other groupings, and you can have it be applicable for you. But hopefully, some of you guys have programs or maybe classroom groupings that you could align this with. Okay, so here's how we use it. Just kind of
Yeah, so every week, and we already have the first assignment for the first week. Every week is their assignments. We have, what'd you say, 36 weeks in our school?
30, yep.
At 36 assignments. They're all going to be set up, and every student can also, they have an unlimited attempts, and they can turn them in. And some of them do this, and it's a pain in the butt for us, but they turn in all their assignments at the end. But we still help the student be successful through that. We have specialized instruction. We have kids of all levels, kids that just get it instantly, and they turn in their assignments 5 minutes after it's done. And then we have students, that are also in SPED, and they have different kind of IEPs and attend all kinds of attention spans and everything else. And we adapt to those students. We help them out through the process. The way we work our after schools is every student has to come to 1 day of after school practice. So, for example, on Mondays, we meet with the trumpets and the flutes, and on Tuesdays, we meet the horns and clarinets, and so on and so forth. And then we walk the students through what the assignment is, and then we all right, cool, go record. They go record, they come back, and then it's done. It's a very, very simple process, but sometimes kids kind of lag on that, but that's another story there. And then we target gaps as we want to move our program forward. We need to make sure that all the students can play all the parts. And sometimes the kids in the rehearsals, they don't play the parts, so we don't know that. So then when you put them on the spot and make sure, hey, can you play measure 1 through measure 8? And the kid cannot do that. Well, cool. Now we know how to change our instruction to make sure that they're going to be successful, not just for themselves, but for all the other students there in the program. So that just really opens up our eyes sometimes how some of the kids can't either read notes, read rhythms, understand the terminology underneath the music. So again, that really helps to bridge that gap.
Yeah, absolutely. We especially use it structural. Like every week, they know they set a goal, and then they move on to the next, and eventually, it kind of builds up for the kid, and they feel very comfortable and confident about themselves. We're gonna move on to the next one for feedback.
Now, this assignment that's here in this what's called a slide. It's of a student, 7th grade clarinet student, and we has had assigned. Most of our assignments tend not to be more than a minute long, and because sometimes we have a lot to say in what what they played. But we either have it as a pass fail, either get 100 or 0, just because we want to make sure that they understand how to use it. Sometimes we will do at a 0 to 100 point scale, and then give them a chair rating, put them rank them first, second, third, fourth, and then we can comment on each section. You can do a typed comment, or the way I like doing it, just because sometimes it's just easier for me to say that there's an option for you to record your comment as they perform. So I do that all the time. It's just so much easier to give them that feedback. What's up?
No, I was gonna say absolutely. We're gonna have now, or just an example play for you. This is like Mr. Kano said, the 7th grade clarinet player. Now, if this isn't music for you, imagine it's someone reading a line from like a vocabulary page, or they have to read sentences out loud, or if you're in drama, they got to memorize lines. So here's an example. It might be very quiet. I could barely hear it. I know you probably couldn't either, but it's just the kid playing. And when it's on our actual devices, it's much louder. But then we're able to type in comments, and like Mr. Kano said, also speak comments back. Or I think we mentioned last time, modeling how it should be for the kid in the comments too.
Yeah, and then through all this, because students they have a lot of other things to do. We adapt to what they can give us sometimes. So what I mean by that is, let's say a kid just cannot get a phone, or just seems to be impossible to get a phone. Then cool, then we just listen to them play right there, and then we give them that feedback, and then we can assign that as a in-person playing assignment, and then the student gets the grade. Uh, as we mentioned earlier, when you perform in front of 40, 30, 50 people, you get a lot of anxiety. And then if you perform very bad, you want to get out of band, and that's what we're trying to fight. We want these kids to stay. The more they stay in band, the more they can transfer over to PSJ High School, where they're a 6A program, and we want them to be the largest and the best and the best. But if they don't get any numbers, then as soon as I can't read music and play music and read rhythms, then we need to do something to correct that. And that's something that's been really opening up our eyes as we see the students transfer to the next level.
Yeah, they're building confidence by repeating themselves and taking these takes. So the recording you heard of or barely heard of the student playing, it might have been her fifth or sixth try to record herself. And maybe she would have never tried all those 5 times had she didn't have to record and hear back. You know how most people hear their own voice and they think, "Oh, that's not good enough," or "I don't like the sound of my voice." That's kind of the same thing. The music kids hear themselves. Your kids hear their product, they hear their effort, and then they have a standard too. And they'll either say, "Oh, my teacher would want it better," or "I would want it better," or sometimes they don't care. But we've seen it where the kids build on that. Eventually, they start to grow up to it because they want to take ownership when they're shown their success in that. Okay, I'm going to move on slides. We'll talk about grading a little bit. Mr. Connor might mention some too. We do establish this weekly for grades. Um, as you can see, we have down here in our TAC, it lists Muse class recordings and, of course, other things too. So on your home access center, like as a parent, they're able to go see like, oh, the kid didn't do the recording, and we can kind of help out the parents in understanding why we do things and how that's connected. Anything you want to add about the grading?
Yes, I mean, when we sit here and we think, okay, what does a band program need? We need kids that can play. And let's say a parent sees a grade of a 75. Well, how can we justify that? Well, we can show them any kind of rubrics, but if we don't have nothing to actually play back to the parent, play back to the administrator, play back to whoever needs to hear the student play, then they're not going to understand why we're giving the grade and what kind of plan we have for them. There's a lot of kids that we hear daily, and we know they have it in them, but it's just a matter of them sitting down and actually doing the assignment. And a lot of times, whenever we tell the parent, look, it's this simple. Like every kid comes here and does this assignment, you know, how come my kid's not doing it? And then they ask their kid, oh, how come you're not doing the assignment? Oh, it's because I haven't downloaded the app. And that's the thing, the accountability increases. And then that contact with the parent becomes so much easier, because then they're gonna know, oh, Mr. Gano's calling me, hey, so and so, did you do your assignment? Because that's why he's calling me. And then they're doing it. They're in the band hall all the time. All the time. Though instead of going, I don't, this is not a great comparison, but I know there's some students that they're in athletics. They got to pass their classes. Obviously, to compete, same thing in band. You got to pass your classes. So if now I can't pass band, well, I need to go and pass. So they're not going to athletics during their ninth period instead of doing their conditioning. Now they got to tell the coach, hey coach, I got to go over here, because if I don't, I'm not gonna pass and I can't compete. So now they have a little bit more sense of pride. That's not a given grade. We could always go back and justify to the parents, here's why your son or daughter has this grade, because they have not turned in assignments, or here's the quality of their assignments. They're not reaching their potential.
Yeah,
That's all we're trying to do, is just have the kids just be more accountable.
absolutely. It does help. And in these years of teaching, I rarely would ever hear a kid say, I got to go practice my D flat scale and like be in a hurry about it until we started doing this. And, normally times the kid would say, who cares? What is that? And now they're a little bit more ownership in it. And I think that has a lot to do with it because they understand this technology usage. They understand that they get to hear themselves back before they submit. So it kind of sets it up. Okay, so I'll talk a little bit about accommodations
Mhm.
and how we use the method of the app to structure like differentiation and accommodations for students and all sorts of positive effects of using it, and how administrators appreciate it. And of course, it goes towards TIA ratings, trying to get things, as much credit for you as possible, because that is a benefit for not just your students, but yourself, and the way the school's structured, and the way that your program's going to push forward. So it's useful, and a lot of these words we all use in all of our subjects. So we want to provide students with extra time and bilingual help. We want to establish small groups and have them work in individual as well. And we want them to promote study habits and the power of repetition. And a lot of kids, they want to, what was the phrase? Don't do it until you do it right. Do it until you can't do it wrong.
Mhm.
Practice it, not until you do it right once, but practice it until you can't do it wrong. And that can be applied to a lot of things, a lot of different subject levels that they're trying to achieve, maybe some of yours. So these are our students here. We're lucky in PSJA to have fantastic facilities. These are our practice rooms, and some of our other facilities are where the kids can get in smaller groups. This is most likely after school,
Mhm.
or maybe during class. But we had the kids split up, and some of them they all have their technology out, and they're kind of helping each other. So
Yeah, I want to make a quick note. If you notice the far picture on the right side, the kids holding the trumpets, you see it on the stands, they have their music and then they have their phones. What I love about this is that every kid can just record on their own, and they just point the bell into their phone, and then it will catch them. Though you'll hear the background, but the whole point is they're all sitting there and they're all practicing. They're all hearing their neighbor. Oh man, they played that and I couldn't play that. I'm gonna try harder. And they just keep on pushing.
I've heard that before. I just submitted. Did you? Like
Yeah.
kids will say that stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah, because we have a lot of kids. This is a very small group. There's upwards of 10 to 12 kids per instrument, and there's about 10 different instruments in band. So there's a lot, and they all are very competitive. And if you have any activities yourself, I know your kids can be competitive as well. Um, Okay, so other than accommodations, we assist our students. We let them use a school device or our own if needed. We let our students log in on any mobile device. So if they make a login with the Muse class, and they're able to go to my phone and put their login. I even had a group of kids that maybe he didn't have a phone, and he would always ask me that once a week practice, and it was saved. His login was saved on my phone. So I just, here you go, and he would go do it and bring it back in the same room. I wouldn't let the kid take my phone in another room, of course, but right there, like on a music stand or something. So anyway, we also provide teacher guided instruction, and we can provide modeling where an example, so that the kid can use it as something to judge themselves on and compare themselves to, and try to emulate. And then, of course, we're flexible with our time frame. That's another big thing here. We're going to show you some videos, just examples. The kid on the left, he's in football with his friend there, baseball, and they're coming right before practice to do their recording. And while I'm doing something else and working with another group of kids, they're able to do their recording and then go to football. And that's kind of what it's all about, being available. There you go. He's practicing submitting. He got 100. It's simple stuff like that. I might mention his technique or where he's hitting the keys, but little things like that. He's coming. There he is in his football gear. Here's a teacher guided one. So I'm right there next to him while he has a device on, helping him out, and he gets credit for that. So, there's all sorts of different approaches for it. Here's an example of a teacher guided lesson. This is me during COVID. The following is going to be for your sound innovation book. I'm going to be starting on page 6 with line 6. I know it's probably very quiet. I'll play everything on the clarinet, but you play on your instrument to try to follow the song and follow the sounds, okay? The click you're hearing is going to be the way I need you to stay in time, and I want you to try to mimic my sound and when I play, okay? This is line 6. One, two, ready, go. So we go, we play, and we show them models, and As it gets more advanced, that was like beginner first band, first notes. But as it gets more advanced, we can play excerpts, solos for them, their region music, anything they need to try to model. So that's really helpful because all of these moments could all happen at the same time. And there's only one of me. There's only one of Mr. Gano. But if there's 45 kids all at an after school practice or in a classroom, we can kind of give them an opportunity to do it structured and free all at once. I'm going to move on. Hello, everybody. Sorry. Okay, teacher guided instruction. This really helps too, and we try to mimic it here when we do the app as well. We're able to build standards and practices to reflect in the recordings. So we tell the kids, this is how we want it done. You need to try to do it like that. And it helps because they say, oh, that's not good enough. Oh, I want to do it again. Oh, and they come and talk to us about it later. Sir, I sent it, but I'm not happy about it. I've heard that before. And I say, it's all good. You'll get better. So here's Mr. Kano on the bottom. He's talking to kids about lung power. They have to blow up to the balloon to a certain diameter and a certain number of counts. Some kids got it better than others. His balloon's pretty big. But we work on stuff like this, and the kids go and work on it on their own. And then when they start playing with them, we tell them to put them away. But stuff like that, too, there's a small group of drummers over here on the keyboard. You can even see a kid here looking at another one's hands to try to tell her to, hey, pick up your sticks. They work together a little bit. And here's some more students, the flute players. They're all playing together, and then I'll tell them to partner share. These are all opportunities for us to guide them, and then they can go do it themselves. We create routines and to check for understanding. That's definitely a good use for us in the app. And we do it every week, 36 assignments. So for their first one's coming in 2 weeks. And then we share methods with the students for them to try to implement when they record. And we ask them, did you see that? Did you hear yourself do this, that, and the other? So they can try to match a standard. Yes, sir.
Yeah, as Mr. Kraft mentioned, this is our favorite part of this because as the music becomes more advanced, the students want that constant reassurance that they're doing it correctly. And when they go outside and practice at home and they don't have that, well, then they're just reinforcing bad habits. So that they have that checkpoint, they have that, these 8 measures that we want them to master. Well, they'll hear it over and over and over. And then as they get that repetition in their head, naturally it's going to fall into their fingers or be able to speak more clearly as far as, you need that repetition to read better. Same thing with me. I'm horrible at reading Spanish, but the more I do it, the more fluent I become with that. So these are the same things that are just helping us out, and we can provide those examples for those students.
Absolutely. That is the power of repetition. I know that that's applicable to even language skills and communication skills and students with needs that need to practice those things and they feel embarrassed to do it in front of everybody. So this is an opportunity to kind of do it behind closed doors, maybe at home, more comfortable, and we can still gauge their progress without singling them out in a moment that makes them actually become worse. Okay, so that's all for that app. I hope you got the QR code. If you need the link later, let us know. There are other resources I use. However, I just wanted to double check. There's not really any music teachers in here, are there? I think I saw elementary something. Are there any music teachers in this? Choir, orchestra, elementary music? I haven't seen it. So look, these are just some resources I would have gone more in depth with if we had some music people, but they're just very useful for repetition and for helping the kids out. And a lot of times we mention after school. Maybe y'all don't have an after school with your kids or your elective classes. This stuff could be used during class time. Like let's say you have a group partner share time, you could use this. But these are music related, so I'll move on to the next ones. These are kind of general. Of course, we can use Google Classroom, super helpful. We can post things, put assignments, put quizzes, have the kids put written entries. Google Forms is an awesome entry ticket. It's super clean, super easy, and it auto grades, and it's nice. So, and the kids already have one. We already have a Google account automatically. Kids probably have one too, so it's very helpful. Flipgrid is not Flip, right? And then that's a very useful one. So if you don't like Muse Class, Flip is like the same thing, and the kids are able to submit and put assignments. And I think it's a little more social, but it's very useful as well. We use that during COVID times. And then one of my favorite ones, everybody's favorite, quizzes. Blue Kit is fun. Don't get me wrong, I like the games, but all the kids want to do is get the treasure. They're all focused on that. Steal points, hack the code. Those are fun. The games are fun and they love them. But it kind of gets away from the point sometimes for me. Um, so we like quizzes just because it's clean. They have templates. I make my own sometimes. And it's even useful for those odd days where you want to do something different or maybe throw in part of the TEAC set is maybe not getting touched as much. I know we on Fridays we do it. I try to cover some theory and all that. So anyway, that's very useful. The QR codes are right there if you need them. Check them out. And we got a real long comment here. Check out what it says.
No, it's cool. Somebody saying this is a good thing that we're doing.
Oh, cool.
Former band member in 2012.
Oh, really?
Sure, yeah. Sandra. Huh?
Oh, hello. Wow.
Yeah, she mentioned all the stuff we were kind of talking about.
That's
Yeah, and like
awesome.
as we read that comment, yeah, that those are things that we have seen in our kids, especially coming back out of COVID. Like it was very tough. These kids had so much anxiety, and then some cases were very, very extreme. And even like thinking about the students going into high school that had so much anxiety they couldn't perform at pep rallies, and now they're leaders at the high school band, and the important thing is just adapting to the student. That's what we try to do. We can only do so much, and we now that I'm a father of a 2-year-old, Mr. Krabs a 3-year-old, another one coming along the way, and we want somebody to teach our kids the way. Sorry, our kids want to be taught. So I'm glad that this is at least hitting home, and it may not cross all the contents, but in general, everybody has that anxiety.
Yeah, absolutely. It helps build confidence. And so are these tools because I think a lot of kids like to do things individually by themselves or with in a comfortable place. So kind of focuses on that. Okay, so we'll move on to some more stuff. This is an app we use for communication. It is very useful, and I think it's applicable for anybody. It's kind of like Remind or Classroom Dojo, but it's called Band, and I like that because we're banned. But if you're not banned, you can still use Band because it's just the name of a website. So what you do is you band together. Everybody has a code, and they join, and it's kind of like a social media page just for your activity. So of course it's guided. You can be an administrator and not let other people post whatever. You can of course control the photos on there and make albums and separate stuff and turn off notifications. And we used to use Remind, but it limits how many people. If you can see there, we have 330 members.
Yeah, after 199,
Yeah, they're gonna charge us, so we moved to the Remind. I love Band. It's really easy to put like picture day or certain announcements or be here at 5 or pizza's there at this time. Whatever we got to put, it's very useful for us, and it's good reminders too. We say all recordings are due. The progress report. Make sure you get it done, and then parents will say. They'll comment and they'll chat with us. There's private messages on here too. So a student can feel comfortable contacting us on this as opposed to like, personal number or something like that.
And
Speak on band.
yes, and to mention something that an administrator told me, if you want to get higher up in the TIA markings, have this displayed up in your classrooms. Have students in charge of it. Whether it's as simple as posting photos of the recent event, recent parade, recent games, and have it out there. That way they can see. And that's the student involvement, community involvement, and it really helps out. Something that we really try our best to do is utilize our resources. There are 8 other middle schools here with 8 other programs of everything, band, choir, orchestra, all the other in the sped. We really try to bridge that gap with each other. We share resources, we share our music libraries, we share everything that we can possibly share to help each other out, because we're all at the end of the day trying to do the same thing. Teach the love of whatever our subject is. In our case, it's band. We love it. We want to show these kids how to do it right. Maybe when in our past we had that mean director that maybe was having a bad day, and now we can correct that. We can be that positive light in somebody and help them through that anxiety that we're all suffering, that we all know it's horrible. Yeah.
So it helps us connect a lot. So we have a lot of parents with questions, and we don't know what the kid's going through. And this has really helped with this kind of venue because the communication is up, and that is a plus for any kind of evaluation you're going to receive. Definitely, and not just that, but it just helps your class go smoother. Like, and when you got the parent in your pocket, or not like that, but if you guys are working together, success can only come from it. The kid will follow. Okay, applications outside of the band hall. I feel like this is something that may be more applicable to you guys. There are some other electives mentioned on here. If you are in a music class, of course, a lot of the things apply. Dance class, they can put recordings of their positions, exercises, warm-ups, or competition drills. Art teachers can put guided lessons, vocabulary, recitement, whichever. Drama classes can have excerpts of their lessons or lines for competition or UIL. And then, of course, I was thinking off the top of my head, like someone that had to teach reading or maybe help someone with dual language. That could be like an audio, they could do an audio submission of trying to read, all sorts of applications. Okay, does anyone have anything to add before we kind of get this thing close to wrapped up? Any ideas? Or I appreciate you all's time. We'll just talk about a few other things before we go. Any questions about the apps we've talked about? See some typing in the comments. We found it very useful. Over the last few decade and a half, we've made a lot of changes, and this has been one that's been really helpful for sure. If you have any comments or whatever, we'll read them on in a second. Great for having children struggle with. Yes, public speaking, big time. And that's all we do in band is play out loud. So the kids that have public speaking issues, they have playing out loud issues too. So it does help a lot. All right. So if you have any other thing to say in the comments, feel free to add. I will continue with steps for success. Geez, this is just kind of ideas, guidelines I found that have helped us be successful in using this process. So, and more or less, if you don't do these things, you'll still probably get results, but I don't know how successful it would be depending on your expectations. So, number one, I always have a backup. Have an extra device or just print it. I know I mentioned not printing as much. It is a lot less printing, but you should always have a paper backup for that kid who says, I don't have my phone. My mom won't let me sign up. I don't have no one else's phone. I can't do that. They're always giving excuses. You just pull out the old one, old school, and give them a pencil, and there you go. So always have that, and you need it. Number two, stay persistent. Nothing's automatic, and the kids are going to take your lead. So at first, the first day of school is going to come. All them kids are looking up at you. However you are is how you are, and then that's what they expect you to be.
Yeah, let me add to that one. That persistent one, when we first tried this and the kids didn't really know if we were going to test them, and that first 3 weeks came by and they saw, not very high grades in band anymore. And they said, how come my grade is this? Well, did you do your assignments? Well, no, it's because I had this and this. Like, well, you were here in the band hall not doing nothing, just running around, not playing. And then they start doing them, and then again, that's where that change of culture comes by, and then that persistence really helped out. If we had sat there and not done it, then it would have helped. It would not have helped. But since we were there and we were constantly doing it, constantly on the kids' back about it, well, then it changed, and now they're practicing more.
I've seen on their phones too, they get a notification when we grade or comment. Yep. So it's like, oh, Mr. Kraft is talking about how you're playing. Like, you know what I mean? And so it's like, oh, it's a little bit more than us saying it to them in person in class. It's more memorable when they get a notification and read it. It's more personal. Anyway, more really important, be positive and promote a supportive environment. We don't let the kids down talk each other. We let them be competitive. They need that, but we don't let them down talk. We're all in the same group here. So you got to stay positive with the kid as well. Any amount of progress they make is what you have to grab and grow with. And the last thing, and we've mentioned this a lot here, connect with your parents and hold the kids accountable. Don't make excuses for them. Let the parent be connected with the activity going on so they know, and let them. It says down here they only see benefits after results. A lot of people only see benefits of things after the results are there. They don't even consider it during the time that they're actually doing it. They wait for the results to make that judgment. So just stay adamant with the parents and connected. Okay. Are there any additional questions or anything y'all want to share? We do have a little bit of time still. We kind of went through this one fast. I did want to share some stuff. If y'all want to type in the comments, you can. This is our app. There's one for the high school band, the band app. This is our middle school one. It's just how we use it. Mr. Kano just made an announcement about our summer band starting next week. It was viewed by 71 people. So that gives you a chance to look at that and we can kind of judge like who's going to go to what and all that. There's all sorts of instructions on here and comments. There's photo albums from our trips and, things we've done with the kids and all sorts of fun things, events and concerts and all that. So it's a good chance for us to share. Your parents, they want to see their kid. They want to know why they're gone all the time. They want to know why they're gone all the time, and they want to see that the kids are having fun. So, it's worth it. Even if your class is doing something in the classroom, take a picture of it. Let the parents see. We have 1,900 photos. Some of them are, band kids are weird. So we have to watch it, but that's how that is. I do have Muse Class here. Mr. Khan was talking about wanting to see it. We have some things here. We have library. We can upload stuff. It's just a website, and there's all sorts of different assignments. Let me see. That's last year. So I'll sign up my kids on here for next year, and you create the class, and boom, that's how that one would work. Okay. Anybody have anything they want to add or have questions about? I know we're probably ready to go home. Okay, well, guys, I appreciate your time, and we thank you so much for being here. And don't forget to do surveys or whatever you need to do to finish getting your login, and make sure you get credit, for attending these classes. Appreciate y'all coming.
There's still
Yeah, I see. Yeah, if you have any questions, we're gonna stay on for a little bit.